Yeah.
Well, welcome to Safe State, where we're gonna be talking today about AMD VEGA, a graphics card that many people have been looking forward, and just came out this same week. And it's been an interesting road of how we got here, and check how the future is looking for VEGA, based on what
But,
has happened.
but before we go to the future, we have to go to the past. So AMD has had a weird history with graphics. At least I think it's weird because, they've never really been on top. They've always been the budget graphics cards. Um, Before they started working on all of their really like up until they got to the R series of graphics cards, and they added Ryzen. Before that, I don't know if you ever used the AMD graphics card, but I had one back in the day, and they had the worst drivers. So
I
like
did
that
hear,
alone was a
yeah.
detractor.
I did hear their drivers were really bad compared to Nvidia's in general.
Yeah,
They were
because they just had it so that one, it was difficult to figure out which driver to install even.
mhm.
So sometimes people just install the wrong drivers and they're like, what's going on? This card must
Yeah,
suck.
yeah.
And then also that games were just optimized for Nvidia because Nvidia graphics cards were better. So it's
And they
like
had like many other technologies too, like
mhm. All
So
the physics, like AMD didn't have anything like that for the longest time, so then it just couldn't compete. And I mean, but the thing is, AMD always had their place. Like they were the budget cards. They often had the better performance per dollar. Um,
yeah,
Kind of like their processors. They were not the best, but if you were on a budget, they would be the best choice for you.
hmm
And in more recent times, with the resurgence of Bitcoin mining, um, like a lot of third world countries and countries such as Russia and China have been known to buy up a lot of graphics cards for Bitcoin mining.
hmm
I think some of this is urban legend, but I think there's a little bit of truth in it
I
where,
think there's a lot of truth.
yeah.
Yeah,
But like sometimes it just kind of sounds ridiculous. It's like, all right,
yeah, yeah.
they're not out of stock because of them. They're not the only ones buying the cards.
But you'll be
And it's
surprised at the number of miners.
Oh, absolutely. That's why like every time you go to like a deal site and like an AMD card pops up, they're gone in minutes
Just
all the
instantly,
time. Yeah.
instantly, and they
It's
buy it
got to be
from
because of the Bitcoin miners.
that's the main reason I feel, um, and that's the thing that they're just gone and they just keep being hogged, especially the latest series before Vega, the RX 464 to
Yeah.
480.
Hmm.
Those were just disappearing off the shelves because they were the best price per dollar before
Yeah.
without buying a dedicated rig for mining, by having your own computer. Um,
I mean, I
and
think it's kind of funny because the cards back, like those cards were great for Bitcoin mining because of their efficiency. And I just think that's funny because when we go into our other topics, we'll talk about why Vega might not be the best for Bitcoin mining now, because of some of the, I don't know what to say about it. Not really
marketing,
features,
marketing.
both the marketing and the performance of the card,
Yes, yes,
right?
yes,
So
yes.
I'll let you go on to the packs and how
The
they're what the offer
packs, the
is.
packs here. I'll go to the share overlay for that. The packs. What we got is, well, AMD to prevent. Obviously, they're gonna sell the graphics card on their own. Rarely will people buy it if you cannot just get the graphics card. But
Hmm.
with the intention, according to AMD, of preventing this graphics card to go into Bitcoin miners, they've released packs, of which it was a little confusing as originally from what I thought it was and what it actually is. So the idea of the packs, is to get it out and also to give you some extra features as extra discounts on other AMD related, because there's also a monitor that has FreeSync, but AMD doesn't make
Yeah,
monitor.
they want people to go all in.
So yeah, they basically want people want these cars to go to gamers. That's what they're saying. So they are offering $200 of Jansus's jaw-dropping 34-inch curved ultra-sync front monitor and Ryzen motherboard combos. To get more into specifics, there's the Radeon Red Pack at $499, which includes VEGA 56, which is the 56 compute units compared to the 64 one. The $200 discount on the Samsung's FreeSync monitor. All of these include a game pack of Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus, and Prey, and or rather the what I found out, $100 discount on Ryzen 7 1800X plus X370 motherboard. The Radeon Black Pack gets you the VEGA 64 alongside what I mentioned, and then they have for the one that wants to get the cream of the top, the best of the best, VEGA 64 Liquid Cool Edition, alongside the benefits I already listed.
That's the Aqua Pack.
That's the Aqua, yes. That's the Aqua.
See, okay, so let me just take a second to talk about these names. Like, Radeon is historically red and black. Why are those the two lower ones? Right? Like Aqua. Where are they?
Well, I mean, it's descriptive.
I guess it's the liquid cooling. It's a liquid cooling.
Yeah, it's a liquid cooling. It's a liquid cooling. But yeah, it's descriptive at least.
So really, the only difference between the 3 packs is the graphics card that comes with them. The rest of the bundle's the same, right?
Pretty much. It's just what tier of graphics card do you want? Do you wanna go for the 56, which normally goes for $399, or the VEGA 64, which is $499? And these numbers mentioned before, it refers to the computer units in the actual GPU. Obviously 64 being better. So
it's pretty much a minimum of adding $100 for a coupon book, basically.
For a coupon book that you have to spend at time of checkout, you cannot buy one of these packs and get a discount.
Oh, I did not know that.
No, you have to buy. It's the pack that you're buying.
So it's coupons that expire immediately.
It's a coupon if you buy it on if you buy it now. If you don't don't purchase it at the time of the sale, you lose. There's no way to. So it actually, the Radeon Reg Pack, instead of being $499, it's closer towards $999 or over $1,000, because you either have to buy a Ryzen 7 1800X and a MOBO, or a Samsung FreeSync monitor, which, let me show you the price of that right here, which is a nice monitor. It has great reviews. I looked into it. It's a 1440p curved widescreen.
Curved?
Yeah.
34-inch, right?
It's 34-inch, yeah. So it's beautiful monitor. 21:9, obviously ultra wide, and
then you can also take advantage. You can take advantage of Samsung's quantum dot technology, which is actually pretty good. But see, the thing is, I always thought that was more of a TV thing than monitors, because quantum dot adds lag.
Yeah, definitely.
For the trade-off of making it look nice.
Yeah, but it does have FreeSync, so your gameplay, it does go up to 100 hertz screen refresh rate, and it has FreeSync, which is obviously AMD version of saying, stay
G-Sync.
with us. Yeah, stay with us.
But so the thing is, FreeSync will fix the screen tearing, but there'll still be a little bit of lag on the monitor, so the response time won't be the great. I mean, but it's a curved ultra wide. Nobody's gonna expect good response times from that.
And you'll be spending a lot more for a gaming curve ultra wide, blah blah
with
blah.
G-Sync.
With G-Sync, yes.
Yeah, FreeSync is the budget again.
And also it has built-in speakers, but no one uses monitor speakers.
Good joke.
Good joke. However, originally I thought these were more packs to build PCs, because the way they sounded,
Yeah, that's how the marketing looks.
Yeah, I mean, look at this page. It says plus this, plus
Hmm.
this, plus this. When in
It's like, but
reality,
you actually have to buy more things.
exactly. When in reality, though, and the way I found out by doing research is it's either a pack with these items, the card, the monitor, and then the games, or a card with the other way around without the monitor but with the mobile combo, the games, and that, which makes it more reasonable. You're spending 1,000 over. If you were to buy all that, it'll be like about 2,000 just for getting Vega. But it's still a lot at the. I mean, ideally, their intention is to keep it away from Bitcoin mining, so it makes sense. However, this is a big, not everybody is out to buy a new monitor when with their graphics card. Or what if you already have a monitor? Then you go to mobile combo. What if you already have like, you're spending you're buying a $500 graphics card. Maybe you already have the equipment that entails.
I mean, I think it's strange because the graphics card ends up being the cheapest thing in the pack.
Yes, it's
Like,
silly.
both the monitor and the
Well,
the
no,
processor by itself
the two
cost more.
games are the cheapest.
Oh, okay. I mean, see, okay, so that's another problem I have with these packs because usually those games aren't advertised as part of a pack
No.
historically, right? Like, this isn't the first time that a game has been included in a graphics card with either AMD or NVIDIA. And the thing is, NVIDIA usually, at least in their marketing, it's like you buy this graphics card and then you get a free game. It's
Hmm.
not this is a bundle, it's not it makes it sound more like you're paying for a part of the game, right? So I mean,
Well,
in
yeah,
one
yeah.
way, if you buy the red or the black pack, if you intended on buying these Vega cards anyways, and for whatever reason, if you wanted Wolfenstein, Prey, and Sniper Elite, depending on the region, you get two out of the three. Um,
Hmm.
so if you planned on buying those three things, the pack is worth it because you get a discount on the games, like a pretty big one.
Yeah, but at the same time, you're either for the packs you have to commit to buying either a Ryzen
Yeah.
7 mobile combo
Well,
or the
no, I'm
monitor.
sorry. So what I meant was if you ignore the discounts and you don't buy the other two. So if you planned on
Oh,
buying the card and
yes,
you planned on buying the two games, it does
it
have
pays
value.
itself. It pays
Yeah.
itself already, technically
But the thing
at
is, you
retail.
have to have that combination of wants or needs. Like
Exactly.
you have to have wanted those three, which is awkward because, that's why I bring up how in the past that those games were
How cheap can
free.
they
They
sell?
weren't.
Yeah, exactly. How cheap can you sell Prey for? And that's another thing. Um, the individual cars do not come with games. It's just the car.
Yeah.
It's just the car. So if you do want value and you're willing to say, hey, these games I can buy them at retail and already pays for my pack. However, it's PC games. Like they go on sale all the time. It's a little,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I mean I can understand why I can almost understand why these packs exist because if AMD is going out of their way to put like reserves of their cards
Yep.
for these packs, then sure. But because then that'll take it out of Bitcoin miners' hands. But the thing is, it's like is that actually going to work, because are they
I have.
really doing that? Are they putting these aside for gamers? Because that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what it sounds like. However, they are selling out. Obviously, the cards are just
Mhm.
selling out, going off the shelves since they came out this week. They do make it sound like the packs are going for gamers. However, the cards price have already shoot up. Here, let me go to back to the overlay,
Mhm.
the share. Here you can. This is supposed to be 500. It's already went to 650. Just the
Yeah,
reference.
like the supply and demand is going nuts, and that's euros, right?
That's euros. Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, no, it actually is supposed to be 500. It went up like 150.
Oh, so it started at 500. So it's $500 and euros?
I believe so. That's how it works generally with graphics card.
Oh
It can
man.
it can go up and down, and the thing is that graphics card prices are never, like a electronics like a 3DS or a console that stays the
Hmm.
same. You always get like $10 off, $20 off variations, and same here. However, so much for for gamers, because this is 1080 Ti prices, and that's another thing that this card does. Can compete with 1070. The 56 can compete with the 1070, and this 64 can get there with here I have the the benchmark from Forbes. They
Hmm.
can they can be head to head, but when it goes up to that price at 650, and if I go here and I just pull up a 1080 and they're way below, what is gonna happen? Why are
Hmm.
they so light 1080s?
Yeah, so
But
the
yeah,
the interesting thing is that the Vega 64 doesn't even beat the 1080.
no, it barely. I'll pull up the benchmark in a second. The Vega 64, it it's head to head. I will say, 10 frames.
It's competitive, yeah,
It's
that's fair.
competitive. It's competitive. It comes down to what games you play. If you're a big, Grand Theft Auto fan, and there's excellent drivers for it, and it's
Hmm.
ahead of Grand Theft Auto, obviously get that. But here we see on Fallout 4, it falls behind on the 1080, on 1080p, and then on 1440 it's also falling behind both the average and the minimum. The minimum being very important. The 54, you can see it actually
Hmm.
bits out a little bit, um, but
So
pricing
let
is
me
what
let me play
puts it out.
devil's let me
Yeah,
play devil's
yeah,
advocate
go
a
for
little
it,
bit here.
go for
So
it.
so maybe like Fallout 4, The Witcher 3, these two games came out in what, 2014 and 2015.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe because the world already knew about Nvidia's 10 series versus like Vega. These like Vega was not even a consideration when these games were in development, right?
Yeah,
But maybe for the Nvidia cards that wasn't the case because everybody knew it was coming. I'm sure they worked with Nvidia to like figure out it's like what will your cards be able to do at this time so then they can help each other's sales.
yeah,
Because these are all like really really high dollar games, so I'm sure they have some kind of partnership or at
with
least
both.
communication with Nvidia and AMD.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
from at least back then, Vega, no one had any idea. Like back then, like nobody had any idea that AMD was even entering the game again.
Well, I
So
mean,
when these games were in development,
Vega
maybe it
was
was
in the
always for
roadmap.
NVIDIA.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It was, but you know, Vega was like dark in AMD. Like, it's a thing that's coming. Don't worry.
Yeah. But
But
see, the thing is, it's like with the 10 series of the GeForce cards, it's like we know they're coming and we know when.
yes,
So maybe it allowed NVIDIA to optimize their drivers for these games better because,
that's
and
another thing.
they,
Yeah,
they release thousands of fucking updates. I feel like I have to update my card twice a week. I mean, I don't have a problem with that. I'm glad that they're progressive about that kind of stuff. But with um, with these games, like these aren't exactly the most recent games. So what I'm more interested in almost with the Vega cards is, games coming out like
waiting for the
next year.
drivers. Yeah, or waiting for these drivers to update for these games, or something. Just seeing if there is a performance increase once,
Mm-hmm.
true drivers with the car out are considered. Because here, for example, Witcher 3 a 4K, which AMD they boast this card as being 4K capable. It's like, it's within 5 frames.
Yeah.
That can be a driver update right there.
Hmm.
Oh,
I mean, I think it's kind of strange that they chose to do these benchmarks on such old games. Like they're not old, obviously, but they are graphically demanding. But
Yeah, that's
what
why
I'm
they
wondering
used
is
it.
like, why didn't they do it on games that came out last year or anything like that? Like, why is there no Overwatch in here? Stuff
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. Oh well, I think they're just trying to keep it on. Oh, well, no, because they also have World of Tanks.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, oh, why is Overwatch missing from this list? Like, it is possibly
Oh,
one of the most popular games right now. It's like,
yeah, yeah.
where's Overwatch? It's like, where's PUBG? It's like, sure, you can say PUBG's early access, but people
Mm,
care about performance of a graphics
yeah,
card on PUBG.
but PUBG is not optimized yet. I think that's not a fair
That's
assessment
true.
because
It's
it can
well,
have wild.
but the thing is, it might not be a fair assessment, and they can do it again later. But the thing is, right now, I guarantee you, PUBG performance is convincing some people to buy one card or another.
It could, but at the same
It's
time,
really
you're
popular.
yeah, but at the same time, it could PUBG can fail for any reason, and then the frame
Yeah,
rates go up and down all the time. Whatever you drop, it'll be really hard to like get a consistent test since there's no like benchmark mode on PUBG or something. It's like, oh well,
that's fair.
the plane's going over to school, I guess, you know.
So, but what about Overwatch then?
Overwatch, I do agree.
Like,
I do want to see a little bit more of the competitive games that
Well,
are
and more modern games even. Like
yeah,
these
yeah,
Fallout 4 and Witcher 3 are not recent anymore.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
So if
mean,
you go down further on the page, though, like they have
they have the
like the
Unity
true
engine,
benchmark
3D
software.
Mark. The
So this I can't defend AMD on.
that
Your
is
numbers are
rarely.
this much lower, and it's like this is a balanced playing field. Like this is a benchmark.
This is not like there might be driver updates and everything, but that usually won't push few thousand points more on 3D Mark, VR.
Yeah,
Um,
it's pretty significant when the 1080 is cheaper and has a 20% higher VR mark score. I mean,
yeah.
like a lot people want VR. As silly as I think it sounds, like
Well,
people
they
are
want to be
buying
ready
into it. Yeah, they want to be ready to use it.
for
And
when later Vives or whatever come out. They want to, make sure that when they buy that, they can plug it into whatever they have.
and
And
then going back to, what I was saying earlier about how AMD cards have always been budget. It's kind of funny that these are now competing against 1080 and 1070, which are not budget cards.
hmm
And, it's like these are going against the top end. I think that's interesting, but what I think is less interesting is that it's not doing that well.
well, I mean, you could just look at this. The power consumption,
Yeah,
not that
that's
great.
yeah,
That was a very good one.
that's where everything above this is just kind of like
Because
thrown
this
out almost because
compare these two and then these two. You don't have to compare
yeah,
this is comparable to this and this is comparable to this. This is idle, so obviously card navigation perfectly
yeah, but
fine the
that's not
system.
yeah.
And then you
So
put the card in and it just spikes up. This like here, you need over a 500 watts power supply. Whereas
just for the graphics card.
yeah, just to use
So
Vega
the thing is
64
that
compared to
means with these cards, if you were to use a Vega 64, you would need a minimum of a 750 watt 750 watt power supply,
yeah, they would.
assuming that you can fit everything else into that 200 or so watts, which is not going to happen. So you're
Well, no,
spending more money.
this is total system power consumption.
Oh, total. Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
okay.
this is entire system. So
I see, I see,
you
I see.
need you need 600 watts, 750 should be good.
It depends on the efficiency.
It
Yeah.
depends on the efficiency. Yeah, usually you should be buying good power supply. However, add liquid cooling onto that, or add
Mm.
it's people bought the 970 with a 500 watts power supply because that was
And
more
it
than
was
enough.
fine. Yep.
If they wanted to upgrade to 64 now, let's say they had a 970 and they want to
Gotta
go
get a
up
new
one
power
step,
supply.
they have to get a new power supply. Even with the 656, you're getting 462. That's very close, and you usually want a little bit more
Yeah,
headroom.
500 you're gonna have to buy a really really high. I think you'd have to buy a
like a
platinum.
platinum. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You usually want a lot more headroom because those
Mhm.
advertised are,
That's the max.
that's the max. So it's it's gonna be hard. And another thing, that the price that it's currently right now, not the price that it's on their website, 4.99 and everything. The price that is currently right now is this one, at least here in Europe. And in
Mhm.
Newegg and in other websites that I looked at, it's also similar, which is putting AMD on a very, very interesting position, at least I think, because they came out with a product that looks promising, looks like it could compete on the gaming side. Apparently, on the computing side, it's really good. They got the Frontier Edition. They showed it out to PC consumers, and AMD has also graphics card have also been sort of leaning to computing a bit. Um,
I mean, I think there's several ways to look at it, right? So the two big points of argument here are the price and the performance, right?
mhm.
So I think where the disconnect is the combination of the two that we have right now, right?
Yes.
So like this price point could be okay if it performed, better than a 1080. And then on the
Yes.
other side, this performance could be okay if it was $100 cheaper.
Well,
It's like
this
stuff like
price
that.
this price will be okay if it performed better than 1080 Ti. This
That's
price
okay.
that's
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
currently
yeah,
on,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But because
But
it's approaching prices of the 1080 Ti,
yes,
which is
exactly.
ridiculous, I think. So it's like they have the groundwork, but it just doesn't have the follow up, because it's
Yeah,
missing that it's missing that connection.
and
Like it
and
doesn't sound
yeah,
worth it to anyone.
not
Both
right
the
now.
person that's on a budget and the person that wants the performance. Like neither of them are happy, which is
Unless
awkward.
unless you were planning on buying that exact same monitor, because although it has great reviews, some people prefer to have two monitors instead of one ultra wide. Like
Yeah.
you know, so unless you were planning on buying an ultra wide monitor 1440p with FreeSync, or building a Ryzen system and
Mhm.
get that discount, there's like right now Vega, and the fact that there's no 1080 Ti competitor, or trying to reach for the also that highest spot, the best card out there.
Mhm.
It Vega right now, it's in like a very much of a hard spot, and it just came out this week. It's great that it's selling now, but now that
Mhm.
the price increase is not so great.
It's awkward, I think. I mean, the thing is, the strangest thing to me is that it's selling. Like, even with all of this
Well,
weird performance to price, it's
well,
still selling out.
you're always gonna get AMD fans who are like,
Mm.
I was waiting for this, I was waiting, and then I'm gonna spend it now. And then
Mhm.
also, Gamer Nexus, they came out with an article saying how they were using rebates so that the sellers and the retailers and the e-tailers could make enough of the profit margins, and now that the rebates are expiring for those retailers, they're boosting up the price so that they can go back to the profit margin they were expecting.
Yeah.
And so that's another thing. It's the marketing that went behind it to get the price out there. Seems to me like
Mhm.
it wasn't sustainable to keep it at that price. It was just a release price. And I wonder if AMD was sort of hoping, like, let's just sell out a bunch on release, just sell out however many units we made just instantly,
Mhm.
and then just sit back and just let it
And then
happen.
and then figure it out.
Because, right, I mean, the GPU and graphics card market right now is very complicated, because you got the Bitcoin miners, you got the fan base right here that you gotta attest to, which I think
Mhm.
they were trying to attest to with the packs. You got the actual people that are looking into build into their new PCs, which I think they also try to help with the pack with the Ryzen 7 one.
Yeah.
You have so many little things to consider. You want to handle everything, because like
Mhm.
everybody's like, here's my body, but you can have it out. Is hopefully has a better future. Hopefully drivers are updated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's I just think it's so awkward the way all of this is being handled. It's I'm just trying to figure out what went through the heads of the marketing team, because
Many
it's
things.
not, it's yeah, and they're just like, let's implement all of them, and
Yeah.
it's like, why? It's like you guys need to choose one thing and stick with it because
Yeah.
it's, do you want to make it affordable? Do you want to make it attractive to gamers and not Bitcoin miners? Do you want
Yeah.
to like
Make
focus
it
on the performance? It's like it doesn't really hit any of those. The
not.
only people that are happy with this, that I think, are the people that wanted to buy all of this shit included in the packs anyways.
Yeah.
They were
Basically.
going to do it without the discount, which is
System builders that are just gonna build a new system, or someone that was like at this very same time that this car came out, looking for an ultra wide monitor,
yeah.
and like, hey, great, now I can get both. But right now, if you actually wanted to get the car on yourself and be like, hey,
Hmm.
especially a 56, if you were looking to buy a 1070, 56 is a good option.
Yeah.
But price inflated to get out of here, no.
Yeah. I mean, I think definitely the 56 is overall a more effective card than the 64,
Mm-hmm.
especially based on the benchmarks, its performance. It doesn't have that. It does have an increased power consumption, but it's not as ridiculous
Yeah,
as the 64s.
yeah, that's just,
Um,
yeah.
but I don't know. I think the way that AMD cards always go is that, like, when they come out, there's this hype, and now the hype has
Always.
just been more than it's ever been. And
Yes.
I would give it, like, give it a month or two, and the prices for these cards are going to start dropping, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah. Right now it's probably just because they sold out, so the little stock that they might have, they're obviously gonna mark up.
Yeah, it's supply and demand. You can't do anything about that.
Yeah. However, I'm also sort of sad that AMD hyped it out so much. It was always like looking out for Vega, look out for Vega. Vega's gonna, we're gonna compete with it, and they didn't even like they're competing. The 1080
Hmm.
64 battle, it's like, and Nvidia's winning, but with drivers, maybe AMD will tie it up with 56. They're slightly winning. If you bought a 1070, you wouldn't be feeling bad, really. You'll be like, oh,
Yeah.
great. But
I mean, to defend AMD a little bit here, they're very recently back in the game, right?
on
Because
all
they,
angles.
yeah, they just released, they just released Threadripper, and they,
Yes.
they just released Vega. So before there was no competition. Intel was above them on CPUs, Nvidia was above them on GPUs, and they were just second place everywhere they tried. But now they have people wondering if they can compete. At least, I mean, especially for things like Ryzen, it's like they're winning in some
Yeah.
respects
Yeah.
because the content creators, anybody that does a lot of data analysis, you do a lot of rendering or stuff like that, you're gonna
You
pick Ryzen.
you want more cores,
Hmm.
especially for those people that want to start getting into it but don't want to, spend levels of money on Threadripper or something. Start out with Rise and see how actually more calls feel like, because it actually does feel great. Um, and AMD is actually, I think, is very much back in the game from there. However, from Vega it was a lot of hype, and now it's sort of, it's the launch week. It's when all the hype is
Yeah.
supposed to have live up to it, and these things are just like, it's out, it's beating 1070, it's not beating 1080. It costs this much. It doesn't really cost this much. It comes with some bundles. It's a mess. The fact that the marketing didn't sort of streamline this a little bit more, I feel like it's a mess.
Yeah. So overall, what are your final thoughts on this? Do you think yay or nay for Vega?
I'm disappointed that they even tried to reach for the top to compete with the 1080 Ti, not the Pascal XP. I mean the Titan XP, whatever, but the 1080 Ti. Disappointed they didn't go that far. It's just 1080. I'm sort of the packs were confusing. It wasn't until I did more research, I went into the retailers, that I understood that how the packs work. I think the launch, all the marketing decisions for the launch killed the hype that
Yeah,
they previously
it just
built.
confused everyone.
It just confused everyone. It it didn't meet expectations, I feel, for some people that were hoping to get a good fight out of the TI 1080 Ti as well.
Yeah.
And it just, the price shot up anyway.
Hmm.
The price is up there, insane. If you were looking for a car, it's probably unobtainable. So I
Yeah.
it could have a good future once all of this settles and it's just a product that's on the shelves. But other than that, I'm disappointed on AMD on the launch, more
Yeah.
specifically.
I'm disappointed more in how it launched rather than, what came out of the launch because I think that the cards, it's like despite their power consumption, not being able to beat the 1080, I think the cards themselves are fine.
Mm-hmm.
What I think where they went wrong is, maybe it was to avoid Bitcoin miners, maybe it was to try to market to gamers, but this whole PAX thing is just so strange because it caters to some consumers, but it caters to, like, overall it doesn't cater to very many of them. And I think that if AMD had just released the cards and then maybe say that, we'll give away one of the three games, just say,
Yeah,
because they're not losing that much on
yeah,
adding the games, so then they can do what Intel, or not Intel, Nvidia usually does, and then bundle a game with it. um,
yeah,
and then, it'll make gamers happy. And then at the end of the day, I don't think you're avoiding Bitcoin miners buying your cards anyways. These guys buy hundreds of cards. $100 is nothing to them.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
they're
And
gonna buy them.
the people that the people that you're trying to avoid buying your car are the same people who are calculating the cost of electricity and the cost of
Yeah.
running a machine. Like, who are, edging out every single number? Of course,
Hmm.
like, I think given the option to flip hardware, of course, buying a lot, it's gonna be hard to fit the
Hmm.
hardware. But the people that are buying a lot on Bitcoin mining are buying like Bitcoin mining actual rigs.
Hmm.
So it's a little confusing. They try to avoid it. The packs are nice for gamers, but are they actually going for gamers? Yeah.
But overall, I'm glad. I really am glad that AMD's back in the game. Whether it's not to the capacity that everybody was hoping for, that's up to you.
Yeah.
But they're back. They're
Yeah.
not. They're here to compete. They're not. They're not winning per se right now.
But maybe
But
on the
that's
next
fine.
one. Maybe on the
Yeah,
next one. Hmm.
they've proven that, they're not out of it. They can still compete. They made Intel shake in their boots, and
Yeah.
hopefully
Oh yeah.
they can do the same to Nvidia. Right now, I don't think Nvidia's worried about
Nvidia's
it,
not worried.
but
No.
they're thinking about it.
They're like,
Like,
they're looking at Intel right now. It's like, we don't want to be in that, but like,
yeah,
I'm
it's
for
like,
sure Nvidia's like, we don't want to be there.
yeah.
And I mean, right now you still go for Nvidia when it comes to graphics card. Maybe when the price comes down, there'll be like just the reviews on the pricing. But right now, look for Nvidia until this price goes down.
Yeah.
Uh, well, that's it. That's the topic I wanted to cover. I feel like we both were looking forward to see AMD, not to buy a new graphics card or anything, but just to see what AMD could come out with.
Yeah.
And the product itself, it's great. Everything around it on the launch,
It's awkward
awkward.
at best.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But thank you for tuning in. This was a safe stay, and you can follow us on Shadmed at Shadmed on Twitter and at SofaKin if you want to know more information about the content we put out. We also stream on Twitch. Um, and thanks for watching. See you guys
Thanks,
later.
y'all.
I already hit the start record button.
Whoa.